Hello and welcome. It's so good to have you joining us today for this deep dive.
Yes. Hi, everyone. We are so thrilled to be here with you.
Whether you're out for a walk, commuting, or just relaxing at home, we're really happy to be sharing this time with you. Today, we're going to explore something that is a universally human experience.
It really is. It connects all of us.
Exactly. We are talking about connection, specifically the delicate, sometimes terrifying, but ultimately wonderful process of making plans with a new friend.
It is terrifying. I'm so glad you used that word because we often forget how much vulnerability is involved in simply, asking someone to spend time with us. It's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. And for today's deep dive, I want to make sure we set the tone right away. We are going to take things at a very slow, deliberate pace today.
Oh, I love that. A nice, relaxed pace.
Right. We have a very structured roadmap here. We are looking at a step-by-step guide to making plans naturally and politely in English. And since this is aimed at beginners who might feel a bit overwhelmed, we want to ensure every single concept is clear, relatable, and easy to apply to your own life.
Absolutely. We are keeping the vocabulary simple and the explanations super visual. I'm so excited to get into these idioms later.
I know you are. We'll definitely get to those. But first, I really appreciate that we're taking it slow because, let's be honest, making friends as an adult is hard enough without the language barrier.
Oh, totally.
Think about the scenario for a second. You meet someone new, maybe at work or at a community class. You chat, you laugh, and you get that rare feeling of, wow, I really click with this person.
The best feeling.
It is. You think to yourself, I'd love to hang out with them outside of this environment. You want to invite them for coffee or a movie, but then almost instantly, this wall of hesitation hits you.
Yes, that hesitation is incredibly common. It's actually a protective instinct.
Hmm.
We are social creatures, and because of that, we are highly sensitive to rejection.
Right.
And we're equally sensitive to making others feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We don't want to trap people.
Exactly. I know I've been caught in that trap many times. I start overthinking. I worry about being too pushy or putting them on the spot. And when you add the layer of doing this in a new language,
It got it multiplies.
it really does. When you're navigating English social norms, you start second-guessing your vocabulary. You wonder, is this the right way to ask? Will I sound too aggressive? Will I sound weirdly formal?
It can feel like you're trying to navigate a social minefield without a map because different cultures handle invitations very differently.
That's very true.
Some cultures are incredibly direct. If you want to hang out, you just say, come to my house on Friday. And in those cultures, directness equals honesty and warmth.
But English is different.
Very different. English, particularly in social situations, relies heavily on indirectness. Indirectness, in English, is how we show politeness and respect for the other person's autonomy.
That's a fascinating distinction to keep in mind. Indirectness equals politeness. So if you use a direct translation from a more straightforward culture, you might accidentally come across as demanding in English.
Precisely. Even if your intentions are entirely warm and friendly.
And that is exactly why the structured guide we're looking at today is so valuable. As the organized one here, I love a good roadmap.
You do love your step-by-step lists.
I do. It breaks down the social dance of making plans into clear, manageable steps. We're going to look at the journey from the very first, tentative, are you free, all the way through to the final, confident, see you there.
Yes. So, to you listening right now, if you've ever felt that spike of panic when trying to set up a hangout, this deep dive is custom tailored for you.
We are going to unpack the exact phrases you need. And we aren't just going to memorize them, we're going to understand why they work.
We'll be unlocking some incredibly common core vocabulary along the way. I'm talking about idioms like being wide open, being tied up, and the legendary rain check.
Those idioms are the lifeblood of casual English conversation. By the end of this, you won't just know what they mean, you'll understand the cultural psychology behind why native speakers use them so frequently.
I can't wait to dive into the history of rain check. It is so cool.
We will definitely get there. But let's jump right into the very first step of our roadmap. The guide calls this the pre-invitation.
Testing the waters.
Exactly, which is essentially checking availability before you ever mention a movie, a coffee, or a dinner. You have to find out if the person actually has time.
The pre-invitation is such a brilliant social tool. Think about what happens if you skip this step. Imagine you just walk up to your new acquaintance and say, I'm going to a restaurant on Friday night. Come with me.
Oh, wow. Just hearing you say that makes me feel a little stressed. Yeah, if I'm busy on Friday night, now I'm in an incredibly awkward position. I have to reject your specific plan, and I might worry that I'm rejecting you.
Exactly. It puts so much pressure on you to formulate a polite excuse on the spot. The direct invitation creates a high-pressure environment. It forces a yes or no answer to a specific event.
But the pre-invitation removes the event entirely.
Yes. Testing the waters separates their availability from the activity. You are simply asking about their schedule. This is the ultimate form of indirect politeness in English. It shows you respect their time before you ever make a request of it.
It's like checking to see if the door is unlocked before you try to open it.
That's a great way to put it.
So how do we actually check the door? The guide provides a couple of incredibly versatile phrases. The first one is a classic. Are you free this weekend? Let's say that again slowly for our listeners. Are you free this weekend? Are you free this weekend? It's structurally simple, but highly effective. I want to talk about that word free. Because for a beginner, free usually means something doesn't cost money, like a free sample at a grocery store.
Oh, that's true. But in social English, we use it constantly to talk about time. It's a wonderful metaphorical use of the word. When we ask, are you free? We're asking if they are free from obligations.
Free from work or family duties.
Exactly. We all have things that bind us. Household chores, errands. Asking someone if they are free is asking if they have a window of time where those obligations disappear. It's a very light, positive way to inquire about their schedule.
It really is. And what I love about this phrase is its modularity. It's like building blocks. You have the base, are you free? And then you just plug in whatever time you're thinking of.
The adaptability is key here. You aren't limited to this weekend.
Right. You can say, are you free tomorrow? Or are you free next Thursday?
Or break it down to a specific time of day. Are you free on Monday morning?
You just swap out the time block. It's a fantastic phrase to practice because you can use it in almost any scenario. From asking a coworker to lunch to setting up a play date for your kids.
Now let's contrast that with the second phrase our guide offers for testing the waters. It achieves the exact same goal, but uses a slightly different angle. The phrase is, do you have any plans on Friday?
Let's repeat that one too. Do you have any plans on Friday?
Do you have any plans on Friday?
That feels just a tiny bit more specific than, are you free?
It is. When you ask about plans, you are acknowledging that adults have busy, structured lives. Plans implies established commitments, a doctor's appointment, a family dinner, a prior engagement with another friend.
So by asking, do you have any plans, you're graciously giving them an easy out.
Yes. If I ask, do you have any plans, and they don't really want to hang out, they can easily just say, yes, I have some plans. It provides a very polite shield.
I see what you mean. It's much less intrusive than asking, what are you doing on Friday?
Oh, definitely avoid what are you doing. Asking what demands specific details. Asking, do you have any plans, just requires a yes or no regarding their availability. It maintains their privacy while still giving you the information you need.
That distinction between what are you doing and do you have any plans is huge. I feel like if someone asks me, what are you doing? I suddenly have to justify my entire schedule to them.
Exactly. It puts you on the defensive.
But do you have any plans feels very respectful of my boundaries. And just like the first phrase, this is entirely modular. You can adjust the time frame effortlessly. Do you have any plans tonight? Do you have any plans for the holidays? It works across all contexts.
It does.
But before we move on to the next step, I want to address a slight anxiety I sometimes have with these pre-invitations. Let's play devil's advocate for a second. Sometimes I worry that asking, are you free on Friday, is a bit of a trap.
A trap? How so?
Well, what if my friend says, yes, I'm completely free. But then I say, great, I need you to help me move my heavy furniture into my new apartment.
Oh no, the moving trap. That is a very astute observation, and it highlights a genuine social dynamic. Native speakers are sometimes wary of the blind pre-invitation for exactly that reason. The fear of being drafted into moving boxes or attending an event they dislike.
Yes, you feel like you've already committed your time before you even know what you're committing to. How do we navigate that without losing the politeness of the indirect approach?
The solution lies in tone and immediate follow-up. When you ask, are you free this weekend? Your tone should be warm and upbeat, hinting that something fun is coming. And crucially, once they confirm they are free, you must immediately present the low-pressure activity. You don't leave them hanging in suspense.
I see.
The pre-invitation and the suggestion are two steps, but they happen almost simultaneously in the flow of conversation.
That makes perfect sense. So you wouldn't ask, are you free Friday?
Yeah.
Wait 3 hours and then text them the plan. It's a fluid interaction. Are you free Friday? Because I was thinking about checking out that new cafe.
Exactly. You are still separating the availability from the activity to give them an out, but you aren't leaving them in the dark about your intentions.
Excellent. So let's imagine we've successfully navigated the pre-invitation. We've asked our new friend, are you free this weekend? Now we wait for their response. And this brings us to section 2 of our guide.
The idioms.
Yes, the idioms. This is where we see some of the most colorful visual language in everyday English. How do people tell you they are available or that they are busy?
English is incredibly rich in idioms. Phrases where the figurative meaning is completely different from the literal words. And when it comes to time and scheduling, native speakers rely heavily on these idioms to paint a picture of their lives.
The first one our guide highlights is the ultimate green light. You ask, are you free? And your friend responds with, I'm wide open.
I'm wide open. Oh, it's a phrase that immediately evokes a sense of relief and possibility.
I really love the imagery of this one. Let's break it down for our listener. If you think about the literal words, wide means broad, vast, the opposite of narrow, and open means not closed, accessible, unblocked.
When you combine them, you get a powerful visual metaphor. Imagine standing at the edge of a massive, empty field. There are no fences, no trees blocking your path, no buildings in the way. It is just vast, unobstructed space.
I picture a digital calendar. You swipe over to Saturday, and there isn't a single color-coded block on the screen. It's just a blank white page. The entire day is a wide-open space waiting to be filled.
That's a perfect modern example. In our modern hyper-scheduled culture, telling someone, I'm wide open, is actually a fairly significant statement. It means they have zero conflicting obligations. But more than that, it communicates an attitude of receptiveness.
That's a great point. They aren't just saying, I have no appointments. They're saying, I have no appointments, and I am actively enthusiastic about filling this empty space with whatever you are about to suggest.
Precisely. It signals a willingness to collaborate. When someone says, I'm wide open, they are implicitly handing the floor back to you. They are saying, the obstacles are cleared, please tell me your idea. It is the most encouraging response you can receive after testing the waters.
It's the best feeling. You ask the scary question, and they respond with a big, welcoming, I'm wide open. But we know that life isn't always empty fields and blank calendars. Often people are drowning in obligations. And the idiom English uses for being busy is honestly one of my favorites because the imagery is so dramatically funny.
You are referring to the phrase, I'm a bit tied up.
Yes, let's say it slowly. I'm tied up. If you pause and think about the literal meaning of those words, it's hilarious. You are picturing your friend wrapped in thick ropes, physically knotted to a chair, unable to escape.
It is a highly dramatic metaphor for a very mundane reality. The literal image is physical restraint. The figurative meaning, of course, is that their schedule, their tasks, their work, or their family duties are acting as those ropes. They are restrained by their obligations.
But wait, let's dig into this. Why go to the trouble of using this dramatic rope metaphor? Isn't it just infinitely easier and more direct to say, no, I am busy?
Easier, yes. But in social English, easy and direct are not always the goals. Remember our discussion about indirectness being a tool for politeness. Saying, I am busy is a factual statement, but it can feel like a conversational brick wall.
Right. If I gather my courage, ask if you're free, and you just flatly say, no, I'm busy, it feels a little cold. It shuts down the interaction. I might start wondering, are they actually busy, or do they just not want to spend time with me? Am I not important enough to make time for?
That is the exact anxiety that indirectness tries to prevent. The phrase, I'm tied up, performs a brilliant psychological trick. It shifts the blame.
Shifts the blame away from the person.
Exactly. When your friend says, I'm a bit tied up, they are making their schedule the villain. They are portraying themselves as a helpless captive to their responsibilities. The subtle underlying message is, I really want to see you, but these ropes, my job, my chores, are holding me hostage. It's out of my control.
Oh, that is so clever. It completely softens the rejection. They aren't rejecting me. Their circumstances are simply preventing our meeting. The schedule is the bad guy, not the friend.
It preserves the social harmony beautifully. And notice the little modifier often attached to it. I'm a bit tied up.
Yes, the a bit. Even if they are working a 60-hour week and their calendar is a nightmare of overlapping meetings, they say they are a bit tied up.
That's classic English understatement. By downplaying the severity of their busyness with a bit, they are further softening the blow. They are keeping the tone light and manageable, rather than overwhelming you with the stressful reality of their heavy workload.
It's fascinating how much emotional labor is packed into one little phrase. I'm a bit tied up, protects my feelings, shows their desire to hang out, and places the blame on an invisible third party, the schedule.
It really is a masterclass in empathetic communication. And understanding this difference, the empty, welcoming field of wide open versus the apologetic, restrained feeling of tied up, gives you so much more insight into how your friends are feeling than simply hearing, I have time or I do not have time.
I want to touch on body language here too, because if you say I'm a bit tied up, but you say it with a harsh voice and a frown, it defeats the purpose of the soft idiom, right?
Absolutely. The delivery must match the intent. Native speakers will usually pair I'm a bit tied up with an apologetic wince, maybe a slight shrug of the shoulders, and a soft tone of voice. The nonverbal cues reinforce the message of, I wish things were different, but I'm trapped.
Conversely, I'm wide open is almost always delivered with a bright tone, raised eyebrows, and a smile. It's expansive body language to match the expansive phrase.
Exactly. So we've navigated the pre-invitation, and let's assume we've received the joyful green light. They smiled, they shrugged off their obligations, and they said, I'm wide open this weekend, what's up?
Now we enter section 3 of our roadmap, the core of the interaction. We have to actually suggest an activity.
The pitch. This is where we bring our idea to the table, and our guide provides 2 incredibly important grammatical structures for doing this safely and politely.
The first one is how about, let's say that slowly.
How about, it is brief, it is versatile, and it is entirely non-threatening.
And the second structure is, do you feel like, let's sound that out. Do you feel like?
Do you feel like? Let's analyze why these 2 phrases are the gold standard for making plans. The secret lies in what they are not. They're not commands.
Right. We talked earlier about not bossing your friends around. If I say, we're going to get coffee on Friday or come to the movies with me, I am issuing a directive. I am telling you what to do.
And even if your intention is friendly, a command strips the other person of their agency. It forces them into a passive role where they just have to follow your orders. But how about, and do you feel like, are framed as questions?
They are soft suggestions. I like to think of them as handing an idea over to the other person and asking them to inspect it.
That's a perfect analogy. You are placing the idea in the space between the 2 of you, inviting them to look at it, evaluate it, and share their opinion. Let's look at the specific examples the guide uses. The first is, how about grabbing a coffee?
How about grabbing a coffee? There's a specific grammar rule happening here that we need to point out for our listener. After how about, we take the verb, in this case grab, and we add ing to the end. How about grabbing?
Yes, the gerund form. How about going to the park? How about getting some dinner? It transforms the action into a concept that you are proposing.
I also want to highlight the word grabbing in this context. Grabbing a coffee, it's such a natural, relaxed vocabulary choice. You wouldn't usually say, how about formally consuming a beverage?
Oh, definitely not. Grabbing implies speed, ease, and informality. It sets expectations. You're telling your friend that this won't be a massive hours-long commitment that requires dressing up. It's going to be casual and low stress.
It lowers the barrier to entry. Now let's look at the second example. Do you feel like seeing a movie tonight?
Do you feel like seeing a movie tonight? Again, we see the ing verb, see, becomes seeing.
What I love about do you feel like is that it specifically asks about their internal state. That's this activity.
It is incredibly considerate. Maybe they are physically free, their schedule is wide open, but they are emotionally exhausted after a long week. By asking, do you feel like seeing a movie? You are giving them the space to say, you know, my schedule is open, but I don't really have the energy for a loud theater tonight. Do you feel like just staying in?
Exactly. Because you phrased it as a question about their feelings, they feel completely safe to counteroffer. You've established a collaborative environment. You aren't dictating the terms of the friendship. You are negotiating them together.
This collaborative negotiation brings us to the next critical microstep. Let's say you agree on the activity. You both want to grab a coffee. The plan is half-formed. But a plan without a time is just a vague wish.
Yes, the dreaded, we should hang out sometime, that never actually happens. If you want the plan to become real, you have to pin down the details. You have to decide when.
And just as we use soft suggestions for the activity, we use soft suggestions to negotiate the time. The guide gives us a quintessential phrase for this. What time works for you?
Let's repeat that for our listener. What time works for you? This phrase is doing a lot of heavy lifting in terms of politeness.
Let's examine the verb works in this sense. For a learner, work usually applies to a job, to employment. But in the context of scheduling, works takes on a different meaning entirely.
Right, the clock isn't putting on a suit and going to an office. When we ask what time works, we're asking what time functions smoothly within the machinery of their life, what time is most convenient, what time avoids creating stress.
By asking this, you are graciously handing the steering wheel over to your friend. You are saying, I am prioritizing your convenience over my own. Look at your life, look at your commute, look at your energy levels, and tell me what fits best.
It is an immense show of respect. Now, what often happens here is a bit of a polite tennis match. You ask, what time works for you? And because your friend is also trying to be polite, they might hit the ball back and say, I'm flexible. What time works for you?
The polite standoff. It happens constantly. Neither person wants to be the one to dictate the terms. When this happens, someone eventually has to step up and make a concrete proposal, otherwise the plan will stall.
And our guide tells us exactly how to make that proposal gently. You use the phrase, how does 7:00 p.m. sound? Let's break that down. How does 7 p.m. sound?
How does 7:00 p.m.? This is another fascinating piece of linguistic indirectness.
I always find it amusing when we unpack phrases like this, because obviously 7:00 p.m. doesn't literally make a sound. It's not an alarm bell.
No, it is not an auditory inquiry. In English, asking, how does that sound, is a highly idiomatic way of asking for an opinion or an evaluation of an idea. You are essentially asking, when this idea enters your mind, what is your reaction to it? Does it resonate well with you?
It's another soft suggestion. You aren't saying, we are meeting at 7. You are floating 7:00 p.m. like a test balloon. Here is a time. Evaluate it. Do you approve?
It allows the other person to easily adjust without feeling like they're shooting down a firm command. They can easily say, 7.0 is a bit tight with my commute. How does 7.30 sound?
It really is a continuous dance of politeness. You test the waters, they give the green light, you softly suggest an idea, they agree, you hand over the choice of time, they hand it back, you float a specific time, they approve. It seems like a lot of steps when you break it down, but in real life, this entire exchange happens in about 30 seconds.
And those 30 seconds of careful, polite negotiation ensure that both individuals feel valued, respected, and comfortable. They are building a foundation of mutual consideration for the friendship.
But as we know, not every invitation ends in a joyful coffee date at 7:00 p.m. Sometimes the stars do not align. Sometimes people are just truly too busy or they have a conflicting obligation. And this brings us to section 4 of our roadmap, the graceful exit.
Yes, navigating a rejection, either giving one or receiving one, is arguably the most difficult aspect of social interaction, especially across language barriers. How do you say no without accidentally communicating, I don't like you?
It's so tricky. If someone asks me, how about grabbing a coffee? And I just say, no, I can't. I feel terrible. It feels blunt and dismissive. I want them to know that I value the invitation, even if I can't attend.
Thankfully, our guide provides a masterfully constructed phrase that handles this exact situation. It allows you to decline the specific event while protecting the overall relationship. The phrase is, I'd love to, but I can't make it.
Let's repeat that one clearly. I'd love to, but I can't make it. This sentence is a structural marvel. I like to call it the rejection sandwich, even though it's only 2 pieces. You are wrapping the negative reality in a layer of positive emotion.
Let's analyze the first half. I'd love to. This is a contraction of I would love to. This simple phrase performs immense social labor. It immediately validates the other person's effort.
It says, your idea is fantastic. Getting coffee is a wonderful suggestion. If reality were different, I would absolutely be there. You are affirming their choice to invite you.
By starting with I'd love to, you are confirming that the desire to connect is mutual. You are reassuring them that the friendship is secure. Once you have established that safety, you can deliver the factual rejection in the second half of the sentence.
And I can't make it.
The phrase make it is a common casual way of saying attend or be present.
What's crucial here is that because you front-loaded the sentence with I'd love to, the I can't make it loses its sting. It just becomes a sad logistical reality. It's not a personal rejection, it's a scheduling conflict. My spirit wants to be there, but my physical body cannot.
It is the most graceful way to exit an invitation. But native speakers often don't stop there. If they genuinely want to see the person, they will add a follow-up phrase that acts as a promise for the future. And this is perhaps one of the most culturally significant idioms we'll discuss today. I'm so excited for this one.
Oh, this is a phenomenal idiom. If you want to soften a rejection to the absolute maximum, you add this question to the end of your sentence. Can I take a rain check? Let's say it again. Can I take rain check?
Can I take a rain check? For someone learning English, this phrase makes absolutely no logical sense. What does rain have to do with getting coffee? What is a check in this context? We need to delve into the history of this phrase to understand its emotional weight.
I love the history of this one. It's deeply rooted in American sports culture, specifically baseball. In the late 1800s, baseball became massively popular. People would pay good money for a ticket, go to the outdoor stadium, and sit down excited for the game. But baseball cannot be played in heavy rain.
Right, the field turns to mud. So, if a sudden thunderstorm rolled in and the game had to be canceled, the fans would understandably be upset. They spent their money, but didn't get the experience.
To solve this, the stadium started issuing a special physical ticket to the fans as they left. This ticket was literally called a rain check. It was a voucher that said, because the rain ruined today's game, you can bring this piece of paper back on a sunny day in the future and watch a different game for free.
It was a guarantee of a future experience to make up for a present disappointment. Over the decades, this hyper-specific sports term migrated into everyday social language. The physical ticket disappeared, but the concept remained.
So when a friend invites you to coffee and you say, I'd love to, but I can't make it, can I take a rain check? You are metaphorically asking for that special ticket.
You are telling them, please don't let this cancellation be the end of our plans. I want to guarantee that we will try this again when my schedule is sunny and clear.
It's so reassuring. If I invite someone out and they just say, I can't make it, I might feel hesitant to invite them again next week. I might think I'm bothering them. But if they ask for a rain check, they are giving me explicit permission, even encouragement, to invite them again. It places the ball back in the court of friendship.
It is a beautiful mechanism for maintaining a connection despite logistical failures. It proves that the intent to socialize is genuine.
Let's quickly talk about how this looks in the modern era, particularly with texting, because a lot of our planning happens over text messages now. If I text, can we take a rain check? I might add a little umbrella emoji or a pleading face emoji just to emphasize that I'm genuinely sad to miss out.
Texting lacks the tone of voice and facial expressions we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
So yes, using emojis or adding an exclamation point, can I take a rain check, helps convey the warmth and sincerity that your voice would normally provide.
So we've covered the graceful exit. We know how to navigate the no. But let's go back to the happy path. Let's assume the plan works perfectly. You suggested 7:00 p.m. for coffee, and your friend says, yes, 7:00 works perfectly for me. We are at the finish line.
We are close. But the guide offers a crucial final step to ensure the plan's success. First, you must confirm the agreement enthusiastically. The suggested phrase is, that sounds great, see you then. Let's repeat it. That sounds great, see you then.
That sounds great, see you then. Let's break that down briefly. We see our friend, the word sounds again. That sounds great, meaning that idea resonates perfectly with me. And see you then, where then refers to the 7 p.m. time we just locked in.
It's an energetic closure to the negotiation. However, you cannot end the conversation quite yet. There is one final, highly practical safety net that must be established. You must confirm the exact physical meeting location.
This is so important, and it's a step people often skip because they assume it's obvious. But skipping this causes so much unnecessary anxiety.
Think about the potential for disaster. You agree to meet at the coffee shop downtown, but downtown has 3 different coffee shops. Or maybe it's a large venue, like a park or a shopping mall.
I have a personal anecdote about exactly this. Years ago, I made plans to meet a new friend at a popular museum. We agreed on the time, but we didn't specify where at the museum. I stood at the main entrance on the south side for 20 minutes, feeling increasingly foolish and worried I'd been stood up. Meanwhile, they were standing at the north entrance, feeling the exact same way. We both felt terrible, all because we skipped this final step.
That is a perfect illustration of why the guide includes this detail. To prevent that exact scenario, you need to state the physical spot. The guide's example is, let's meet in front of the cinema.
Let's repeat that one final time. Let's meet in front. Oof! The cinema, it's incredibly specific, not just at the cinema, but in front of it.
By stating the exact location, you are providing an anchor. You are removing all ambiguity. When your friend approaches the location, they don't have to scan a crowd anxiously. They know exactly where their target is. It ensures the transition from digital planning to physical meeting is as smooth and stress-free as possible.
It cements the success of the entire operation. You've navigated the whole maze, you tested the waters safely, you interpreted their availability, you made a soft suggestion, you negotiated the time respectfully, and you set a precise anchor for the meeting. The plan is rock solid.
We have dissected a significant amount of social and linguistic structure today. I think it would be beneficial to review the journey from start to finish, observing how naturally these pieces fit together.
I agree. Let's walk through the whole sequence, focusing on the core phrases we've unpacked for our listener. We started at the threshold, the pre-invitation. We learned that to avoid being pushy, we ask, "Are you free this weekend?" Or "Do you have any plans on Friday?"
We then explored the imagery of availability. If the calendar is empty, the response is expansive and welcoming. I'm wide open.
The wide open field ready for possibilities. But if obligations are restricting them, they use the apologetic metaphor of being bound by their schedule. I'm a bit tied up.
Moving to the suggestion phase, we learn to avoid giving commands. Instead, we offer collaborative questions. How about grabbing a coffee? Or, do you feel like seeing a movie tonight?
We practice the polite tennis match of scheduling, prioritizing the other person's convenience with "what time works for you," and floating a test balloon with "how does 7:0 p.m. sound?"
We also covered the critical skill of the graceful exit. We learned the rejection sandwich. I'd love to, but I can't make it. And we learned how to promise a future attempt by referencing old baseball tickets. Can I take a rain check?
Finally, we learned how to lock in a successful plan with enthusiasm and precision. "That sounds great. See you then," followed by the crucial anchor, "Let's meet in front of the cinema."
The flow is logical, considerate, and designed to protect the feelings of both individuals at every stage. But as with any skill, intellectual understanding is only half the battle. Application is required for true mastery.
Yes, you have to actually use these tools. And that leads us to a specific assignment we have for you, directly inspired by the guide we've been using today. Consider this your homework.
Oh, homework. I love it. We want you to practice formulating a soft suggestion. Your task is to write a short invitation using the phrase, "how about?"
And we want you to direct that invitation at us. Imagine you are inviting your hosts to hang out. Think of an activity you genuinely enjoy. Maybe it's a specific hobby, a favorite type of food, or a place in your city you love to visit.
Remember the grammatical rule we discussed. Take your activity, find the verb, and add ing to it. How about? Plus the gerund.
So if you want to take us to a park, you wouldn't say, "How about walk in the park?" You would say, "How about walking in the park?" Or "How about trying that new sushi place?" Or "How about visiting the art gallery?"
Formulate the sentence in your mind. Write it down. Say it out loud to yourself to feel the rhythm of the soft suggestion. The more you practice the structure in a low-stakes environment, the more naturally it will come to you when you are facing the anxiety of a real social interaction.
We are wide open to your suggestions. We'd love to go on a metaphorical adventure with you. Practicing these small phrases is how you build confidence.
Before we conclude our time together today, I want to offer a final perspective on what we've actually been discussing. On the surface, we've been analyzing a list of English vocabulary words and scheduling techniques.
It seems very practical, very nuts and bolts.
It is practical, but I urge you to look deeper. Consider how much of learning a language, or even just improving how you communicate in your native language, is fundamentally not about memorizing grammar rules or vocabulary lists.
It's definitely not just about passing a test.
It is about mastering the subtle, profound art of making the people around you feel comfortable, respected, and valued. Every single phrase we unpack today is a tool of empathy. Asking what time works for them shows you value their life outside of you. Using the phrase "tied up" shows you care enough to soften a rejection. Asking for a rain check proves that you see them as a priority for your future. When you learn to use these simple phrases effectively, you are doing much more than merely arranging a time to drink coffee. You are actively building bridges to new friendships.
Building bridges of empathy, that is an incredibly powerful way to look at it. It takes the pressure off getting the words perfect and puts the focus on making the person feel good. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today.
It was a joy.
And thank you, our listener, for trusting us to guide you through this process. We are so proud of you for doing the hard, vulnerable work of learning how to connect. Keep testing those waters, keep making those gentle suggestions, and remember, if life ever gets too crazy, it's always okay to ask for a rain check. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.